gentlemen, welcome aboard the Athletics Can't Wait Jets podcast, your nonstop shop for all things Jets. Now here are your hosts, Tim McMaster and Connor Hughes. Listen safely.
Can't wait.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Can't Wait podcast. Tim McMaster here, along with Connor Hughes and Marissa Morris. It is Friday, December 17th, just after 10 a.m. So what we're talking about, we're going to talk about all the COVID outbreaks in the NFL. That could certainly change by the minute the way things are going. So I wanted to get that timestamp at the top. Plus, Connor loves it when we open a show with what the date and time is anyway. So we have a lot to get to. We're going to talk about the situation in the NFL, all these breakouts, all these teams, what the Jets are doing, because so far things have actually gone pretty well as far as the Jets go. We'll talk about Urban Meyer. He is out a short stint as the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll talk about that. We'll get you ready for the Dolphins and Jets. We have some other stuff to get to as well. And I'm going to start with this. If you're watching this on YouTube, you see I have a different background. Traveling for the holidays with my wife's family this week. Then I'm going to visit my family. A lot of people getting to meet the baby Ailey for the first time. And I will say this, and a lot of people can probably relate to this. First road trip with the 3-month-old. Wow. I've new level of packing experience, by the way. I worked at UPS in college for a little bit and got really good at packing. Used every bit of that knowledge, but I will ask you guys this. We were planning to leave for Pennsylvania at 3 p.m. yesterday. What time do you guys think we rolled out of New York City?
9 p.m. Easy.
Connor?
6:30.
Marissa, you nailed it. 9 p.m. 9 p.m.
Wow, it's like you're living with Bree.
We planned 3. I mean, it's something else, but
it's we need this.
So what's the holdup? What causes all the holds up?
Well, there's a few things. One, all the stuff you have to bring, but then number 2, while you're doing all this, you have to, it's a 3-month-old, so you have to. Got to feed baby. Got to change the diaper.
What's all the stuff?
And then you're like, so one of you has to be holding the baby, and so only one of you can actually accomplish things for like packing and that sort of thing. And then, It all just builds up, and it was 3:00, and I looked around and I was like, "Wow, we wanted to leave now? What?"
So what do you have to bring when you have a baby? Because I would think you just pack a pack and play, and then
wow, the fact that Connor knows what a pack.
I know what a pack and play is.
Yeah, very impressive.
And then the kid, I don't think he's eating. This is another A+. Connor knows baby stuff. The kid's not eating food yet, so it's just probably on mom, right? Like mom's, providing, I would assume, without going into like the gory details.
Formula. Yeah.
Oh, you can give a formula?
Mom's providing, but
okay, so there you go. So you got the pack and play, the car seat, and the kid. You just throw them all in. I mean, you're bringing the meal with you. It's in the passenger seat.
There's so much more, Connor. It's amazing. There's so much more. We used to try to travel, like we'd rent a car and travel. We don't have a car because we live in the city. We borrowed Mandy's parents' SUV for this trip and used every inch of it. Like the front seat piled up next to me. Mandy was in the back with Ailey, stuff next to her. It's incredible. So I'm sure people out there can relate. But it was a first for me. And I went into it thinking like, we're obviously not going to leave when we plan to leave, but 6 hours.
Hey, you remembered the baby. And you guys got there. That's all that matters.
Yeah. And the good thing was, we didn't, and it was good because we were like, we'll get there. There was
probably hit no traffic then that way.
No traffic at 9:00. That was a benefit as well. So there you go. That was my day yesterday and night, but I made it to the podcast today. So Connor, you had a much different night.
I did. I saw Spider-Man, and I'm not gonna lie from you guys. Like my sister.
Connor, no spoilers to our chat because we.
I know.
Really make people hate us.
Let me tweet it out because I'm gonna go Spider-Man free. Spider-Man.
Don't worry, guys. We will get to the Jets game.
Why do you want to? They went from 5. They got healthy and somehow managed to become more of an underdog. They got both Michael Carter's back, this guy back, that guy back. They went from 5.5-point dogs to now they're 9.5. I just looked at the board.
Wow.
They are getting worse. as the week goes on, and they're getting healthier. I've never actually seen that before, but yeah. So I usually I go with my my sister's big into the Marvel universe as well. She had an ex-boyfriend that got her to start watching them, and then they broke up, and then so she was kind of told me, she goes, yeah, I watched those movies, I'm kind of into it. So we saw Infinity War together, we saw Endgame together, we saw all that stuff. So I asked Bree if she wanted to come with us. I took her to see Into the Spider-Verse, and that was kind of like, that was like 5 steps back from all the steps forward I have taken with her, because, you know, she's not into animated movies. And that was like not only just animated, but comic book themed kind of thing. So I totally lost her on that. So she did Christmas shopping yesterday. She had no interest in coming to see the new Spider-Man movie. So my sister and I went, and I will say, like, spoiler free, I have never been in a theater where from like 5 minutes in till when the credits ran, and then there's 2 end credit scenes where people were literally hooting and hollering like it was a football game. I mean, people were going crazy. And I will say that, like, I had tears in my eyes from like when the adrenaline scenes get going. You know what I mean? Like, you see like when in Endgame, where, you know, like Captain America drops the Avengers assemble, and then like you hear like the Avengers music play, and they're all charging. Like, you know, you get your adrenaline goes, so you start to tear up. I teared up from adrenaline. I teared up from the emotional aspects of the movie towards the end. I mean, there was just like, it was when I found out about what the storyline was going to be, like when Marvel made it clear that they were going to go like the multiverse, they're bringing in the villains from other Spider-Man movies. I remember actually being on this podcast and saying, like, I just feel like they're biting off more than they can chew. They're getting way too complicated, and I don't think it's going to work. However, Disney MCU has never given me any reason to doubt them. You know what I mean? Like Disney and MCU has tackled everything so perfectly that it's almost like, yeah, to me, that seems like it's going to be too much, but you just have to blindly trust Disney and blindly trust the MCU until they prove otherwise. And so I went into this one believing the hype and hyped up to see it. When I say that they perfectly, effectively made this movie where it is, and I've now since fallen asleep and woken up. It's not the best Marvel movie. I think it's number 2. I put it right behind Infinity War. I think Infinity War is 1, then Spider-Man No Way Home, and then you go to Endgame. I think those are the top 3 movies, no doubt. They just so perfectly executed this film from start to finish that it just justified the blind faith you have in these movies that are being made, where like whatever they want to do, just trust him and how it's going to go. Now, obviously, there's a bunch of question marks moving forward. Like, is Tom Holland going to stick with Spider-Man? Because he's now had comments come up about him wanting to start a family, and he's not sure if he wants to keep doing this, yada, 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 all that fun stuff. You obviously don't know what, like, they've Zendaya.
Wait, he can't be Spider-Man if he starts a family?
He I think he wants to take a break from acting. Is like his thing. It's like I want to take a break from acting. So Zendaya is I know, like, there's like, oh, is she going to keep doing it? I know Ned, is he going to keep doing it? Like all that kind of stuff. Like you don't know if the cast is going to stay, or are they just going to use Spider-Man and Tom Holland in like a Tony Stark type fashion where he just comes in for the big movies, like he's just in for like the Avengers and things like that, and then eventually rides off in the sunset. I don't know. I know that one of the producers said that there's another trilogy coming, that they just finished the first story arc of Spider-Man with 1, 2, 3. Now they're going to have 4, 5, 6 coming up. I hope that's the case, because I love these characters. I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. You'll see the way that the movie ends, like how it takes a transition with this character and stuff like that. But it is just execution A+, acting A+, storyline A+, emotional roller coaster A+. I mean, it was a dynamite A+, no doubt home run movie. I mean, it really was. Like I said, for me, Infinity War is still number 1, because I believe personally that Infinity War was a perfect movie. Like there is no criticism that I have with Infinity War. Like I can criticize aspects of Endgame. I can criticize some aspects of this movie. I cannot criticize anything of Infinity War. But as far as just taking such a massive storyline and difficult plot and perfectly executing it, amazing. I like, if you are a Marvel fan, go see it. If you are interested in these movies, go see them. Like this is I went at 8:30 last night with my sister. I will be going again with another one of my friends. I might try to convince Andy to let me see it instead of watching the Jets tomorrow. Like there's like a bunch of things in it. Like that movie was awesome. And in fact, like one of the reasons I said when I was talking to my sister, I was like, you know, we gotta, honestly, I kind of want to go see the movie a second time just so I can hear it like 2 months from now when people aren't screaming and yelling and stuff like that. Right. Like, cause I'm telling you, people were hooting and hollering like a football game in the movie theater that I missed like lines of dialogue that I know were pretty important. So like I want to go back and watch it again. But if you're into this stuff, go see it. Absolutely. It was an A+ movie. I loved it.
All right. And I'm sure we'll find it in the messages after this podcast on YouTube where the comments will say, skip to 10 minutes to start hearing about football. So
yeah,
we will do that right now.
Dude, it's what are we? Week 15. The Jets are 3-10. Like it's just, we're having fun now. Like, what do you want me to talk about?
Exactly.
Yes, correct.
All right. So back to the Jets and the happy news of COVID outbreaks across the NFL. So the Browns, 20 players and staff, including Kevin Stefanski, Baker Mayfield, Case Keenum.
Not Michael Dunn, though. That boy got boy's got an immune system for the ages. Let me tell you. Not only is he the best guard on that team, the best third tight end on that team, that boy's immune system, man, Marissa, you better husband him up because I'm going to marry him.
Well, we can only hope because a lot of his teammates are boosted, fully vaxxed, and still testing positive. Kevin Stefanski has come out and said, so I feel safe to say that and he had it back in January, as we all remember. So he had it and he has his booster and still tested positive. So it's spreading a lot. So be careful.
You know what all those players don't have, Tim? They don't have a Marissa making sure they're following the guidelines when they get home. That's the key. That Michael steps out of line and he's getting the wet noodle. He's getting smacked around.
It's been a crazy week over here, that's for sure.
So the Browns, obviously, for that Raiders game, we were talking, it was a 7-point spread. They were favored. Now they're 3.5-point underdogs. The Rams have had 25 players since Saturday go into protocols. 70 players in the NFL Monday and Tuesday. 5 teams in expanded protocols. That means the virtual meetings and all of that stuff. And the league is making some changes. All tier 1 and 2 employees, that's players, staff, everyone that's around, really, basically, have to be vaccinated by December 27th. All that said, Connor, the Jets have avoided this so far. So what are the Jets doing right? Are they lucky, or are they actually doing some things that are helping this out?
Nah, look, Tim, I mean, you and I have talked about this for weeks and months now. It's a well-oiled machine over there at One Jets Drive.
It's the theme of this podcast, really, right?
We can't wait. Jets. No, well-oiled machine. That's what we're going to go by. No, the Jets deserve it, honestly, and it's been a long year, and I know my mentions were filled with, like, I'd settle for not being, I'd not handling COVID just for a couple more wins. You know what I mean? I'll take a COVID outbreak if it means we're not, 7 games under 500 right now, but the Jets do deserve some credit. So they were hit pretty hard towards the tail end of last week with the flu, and it wasn't COVID related. It wasn't anything. It wasn't Omicron variant or any other variant or Delta. It was the flu. Like
did you say Omicron?
Yes, Connor.
Omicron,
okay, wait. So I said this to my mom yesterday in that voice or in that pronunciation, and she's like, Omicron. She's like,
what is it called? Because I called it Omicron.
There's no R at the end.
It's
Omnicore.
No, it's
Cron.
Omicron.
Omicron or something like
Omicron.
that. But I called it Omicron.
I was saying Omicron. And then somebody said Omnicorn. I was like, I'm probably wrong. So I just converted over to Omnicorn, which I think sounds better. Anyway.
I was wondering where I got that from, and she was laughing.
We're gonna by the way, YouTube's gonna freaking flag the hell out of this on the. We're gonna have on all of our things right now. The thing, if you post anything about COVID on Instagram, it's there's topics of COVID. There's gonna be all over this thing.
We're not
getting
these
idiots talking about.
Yeah, we're getting
sending false information about the variant. Blah blah blah.
Yes, we are not doctors. We are making that very clear. But I did get my booster.
We're not even doctors. We don't know the name of this damn thing.
Yes, I got my booster on Tuesday. So everyone get your booster.
I'm gonna get boosted. I think my sister Taylor is gonna see me for the holidays. I'm gonna get kicked out of the house, but the So the Jets got hit pretty hard with that flu, right? Because that's why they lost Austin Walter. That's why they lost Ronnie Blair. There were a couple other players as well that were pretty sick that were able to play in the game, but were guys that they were going into Sunday like, are we going to be able to get them to a point where they can be on the field? I mean, the Jets were planning on starting Austin. Like, he was going to be their starting running back. He ended up not being able to go because of the flu. Again, not COVID, just flu. So the Jets got spooked a little bit by it. And instead of being like, everyone will heal and we'll all be fine and we'll get past this, beginning on Monday, they went entirely virtual. So they have not been in the same building for meetings, for lunch, for dinner, for any of that. Aside from practice and the weight room, they have not been in the same building since last Friday. And Saleh said the next time they will be in the building at the exact same time, like indoors at the exact same time as when they all get on a flight to go to Miami to play this game against the Dolphins. So the Jets actually kind of jumped the gun on this. And we're like, you know what? This is a little weird. We've seen some COVID stuff around the NFL. We've seen the own flu infiltrate our locker room. We're already banged up and injured. We don't want to take the risk. So they went fully virtual. They've been fully virtual since Monday. And the only new addition that they've had to their COVID list is Justin Hardy, the special teamer. I mean, they've got no illnesses, knock wood. They've got no sicknesses, knock wood. They've got none of those things. So, look, you can rip the Jets for a lot. And a lot of it is justified. But they deserve some credit here because their ability to jump in front of this thing, their ability to get out in front of this, it's among the reasons why you got teams like the Browns dealing with that. What? They're down like 21 players now, like Washington. They're down, 18, 19, 20 players right now. The Giants down, 5, 10, 15 players right now. The Jets are sitting there where they're getting healthier. Now, obviously, that's not helping them because as we talked about at the beginning of the show, they went from 5.5-point dogs to now 9.5-point dogs. So maybe, COVID would have kept that game to one score potentially. I don't know. But we are at a point, though, where the Jets deserve some praise, at least for how they handled this recent outbreak.
I mean, but we saw like the Rams, they played on Monday and then the next morning they had like 9, 10 positives. So, they were testing and I don't know. It's been a crazy week for sure.
Yeah, well, it's honestly, Marissa, like it does. I was talking to this about somebody, like the whole testing thing to me doesn't really make sense because obviously you can go into asymptomatic, non-symptomatic, right? And like I can just compare it to like our person, like as media, like we have tests, like we have to test once a week, right? And then that once a week test covers you for a full 7 days. So it's a full 7 days after that, after you get tested. So I get tested on Monday. I'm good for 7 days. So last week at the Jets, I tested on Wednesday and I tested on Thursday because I think I forgot I tested on Wednesday. So I tested again on Thursday. So I tested on Thursday. So theoretically from Thursday, I'm good for 7 days, Thursday to Thursday, right? So like that's my 7-day window for being tested. So I show up at the Jets facility like 5 minutes before Saleh talks on Wednesday. And I'm like, all right, I tested on Thursday, so I'm good, right? Like I'm covered within that 7 gap. I'm told that, no, I'm not good because the 7 days resets on Monday. So like it's 7 days except for on Monday when it resets. So like I got kicked out of the press conference because I had to go retest, wait 30 minutes for my test to reset. Another reporter got kicked out and he was tested on Friday. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I was like, oh, whatever, it's the rules. Like I'm not bitching about the rules. Those are the rules. Like you guys, I'll follow the rules. I'll watch Saleh on my phone and I'll ask him my questions the next time I see him when I got to ask him, and then I'll go get my test and I'll come back in. I mean, it's not like it wasn't like a groundbreaking press conference that I missed here. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, wait a minute. I test so all right, whatever. Yeah, I got a test new on Wednesday. So I test on Wednesday. I could also get COVID Wednesday night when I get home, Thursday when I get home, and then be in that press conference with Saleh on Friday and give Saleh COVID, not knowing I have COVID because I didn't test on Friday. Or Thursday. I tested on Wednesday, right? Like it doesn't, and the same thing with players. Like say they test on Monday.
You can go read Baker Mayfield's tweets if you want to hear about
I mean like what
players and how they're allowed to practice before they're tested. So
Case Keenum practiced the entire day. He's in the huddle with all these people, and then all of a sudden he tests positive after the game or after practice. So it's like the whole like the protocols and the guidelines. Like okay, it's good the NFL has protocols and guidelines in there, but like at the same time, I'm like, even just from a media perspective, like okay. Your test is good for 7 days. It's 7 days you're cleared for, except for it restarts on Monday. Except for if you test on Monday and then you get COVID Tuesday, Wednesday, you're still good for that 7 days. So I could test on Monday, go to the facility, test on Monday. I'm good until theoretically next Monday. I get COVID Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm in a press conference with Saleh on Thursday, or on Friday. Like it's I don't know. Like again, it's just follow it, I guess. You know what I mean? But like I think it's. And Myles Garrett had a tweet as well. Like you guys all knew this was coming once you took away daily testing. Like, and the COVID testing now, I'll be honest with you. Like when Bree and I went to Aruba, that was the most unbearable for our honeymoon, the most unbearable COVID test I've ever had. Like I didn't get tested during the initial wave, like when people were like panicking and stuff like that. Cause that was back when, unless you're borderline on your deathbed, don't go get tested. Then tested became more readily available. And then it was like, okay, get tested. And then starting when training camp, I think last year when COVID, like we had to get tested for training camp. And then this year we started having to get tested the once a week thing. Getting tested now, I don't know if people haven't gotten tested. it's not an unpleasant experience.
Yeah, they don't scrape your brain anymore.
No, they go like the last COVID test I got on Wednesday Wednesday, I'm sorry. Like she just like went right on like the corner of my nose, twisted it for a couple seconds, took it out, and it was done. I mean, I've had more painful nose pickings than I have that COVID test. And then so I said, like for that, if that's what it's like for NFL players and what it's like for media, I'll get tested every day. Like that was unintrusive. That was perfectly fine. Like I'll go do that. Like, the one I had in Aruba, that was one where like they twisted it and then they were like twisting it in your nose and all of a sudden they went boom. Like that thing was like up there. Like that was like, holy shit. And I remember like Bree watched, she's like, I'm a nurse and you don't have to do that anymore. And the guy's like, no, this is no. And the guy's like, actually, I'm head of surgery. I'm like, the head of surgery is doing COVID tests for American tourists. Like, I don't think so, buddy. Like, but okay, like whatever you say. So anyway, like if it was like that, okay, I'll be honest. Like NFL players, I'd be like, all right, I'm dreading this. Let's do it once a week. Let's do it as few as possible. But the way the COVID testing is in the US right now, it's not intrusive. It's not like I would just bring back daily testing all the time. Like just keep doing daily testing and make sure these guys don't have it. Test them in the morning, and then if they have it, then you take them out and you do the close contact stuff. Because again, the once a week just doesn't, unless it's once a week, unless you're asymptomatic and you can still play if you're asymptomatic. Testing once a week doesn't make any sense because you can get it the next day and then suddenly like you're sitting there spreading like a mother.
And then suddenly there's 25 people on the roster that have it.
Yeah. Is that what it is? Is that the number that's up to the Browns? Is it 25 now?
No, I think the Rams are leading the way with 25. Yeah. But we have not yet heard from.
Jeez, man. Whew.
Yeah. So we'll see what the NFL does about this weekend.
But Jets avoided it. How about that? Good thing for the Jets.
The Jets have avoided it as of now.
Well, I guess, and we'll say the Jets.
You're putting that.
No. I'm just saying that, like these are decisions that have to be made for the final, stretch of the season and into the playoffs. These are, this is not just a week 15 problem. This is going to be a week, throughout the rest of the season problem for the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So and even with the Jets avoiding it so far, they're all going to be on that plane to Miami, and it's definitely it's crazy. All right, let's take a break and then we'll move on to some other football stuff.
If you're a loyal listener to Can't Wait, you've heard us talk for so long about Magic Spoon because we just love it. Growing up, cereal was one of the best parts about being a kid, but we had to give it up because we realized it was full of sugar and junk that you really shouldn't eat. Until Magic Spoon came along. There are 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving, and only 140 calories a serving. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and low-carb. And you can build your very own custom bundle, including flavors like cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, blueberry, cinnamon, cookies and cream, and maple waffle. So if you want to try it out, go to magicspoon.com/wait to grab a custom bundle of cereal and try it today. And be sure to use our promo code WAIT at checkout to save $5 off your order. Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/wait and use the code WAIT to save $5 off. Thanks to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this episode.
All right. The other big breaking news story this week beyond all of these outbreaks was Urban Meyer out after 13 games with the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is the 4th shortest stint in NFL history. Lou Holtz, one of the other guys with the Jets who only went 13 games in that. There's another Jet on there too. 2 Jets in the top, I think 6 as far as short stints go. But I will say this, the Jets made a much better hire in the offseason than Urban Meyer. It was a disaster. The latest story that kind of put it over the edge, I think, Tampa Bay Times this week, saying with Josh Lambo weighing in, the kicker who was cut earlier in the season, that Meyer kicked him in warmups and the talk down to him. He called it abusive. It's bad. But so this is my question, Connor. There's a lot of different ways to look at Urban Meyer and this situation. One of them, and I'd love your take on it, is just that college coaches are gods, right? Basically, there are certain college coaches that within that program, they are gods. They can do anything that they want. They, complete autonomy. They have complete control. Urban Meyer was absolutely one of those guys, both at Florida and at Ohio State. At Ohio State, we saw things that happened with assistant coaches that he somehow survived. It kind of proved that point. some of these guys go on to the NFL and are very successful, but I think some of them try to bring that same attitude to the NFL. And dude, you're dealing with millionaires now. It's a different game. These aren't kids who are going to do everything you say because they want to get to the league. These are guys who are millionaires. They're adults and they need to be treated like adults. And it sounds like not just, I mean, obviously the Lambeau thing is one thing, but there's been other stories from other players complaining. He just didn't really treat these guys like adults a lot.
Yeah, it was the same thing when Nick Saban was in Miami. You know, that didn't work. And Steve Spurrier to an extent when he went to Washington, you know, that didn't work. It's very rare. And you can even also sort of compare it to the last real true old school ball coach, which is Bill Belichick in New England. And when you've had Belichick's disciples go and branch off and go to other teams and try to be head coaches themselves, they've tried to be Bill Belichick and they've tried to be that hard-nosed, no nonsense. I mean, look at Matt Patricia in Detroit, but it goes much further than that and deeper than that. I mean, you can go to McDaniels when he was in Denver. I mean, there's countless examples of Belichick cast-offs and even Joe Judge with the Giants right now where that's taken a turn, where that hard-nosed, no-nonsense, just, you know, the ball-busting coach just does not work at the NFL level. And the reasoning for it is what you said. These guys are millionaires. In a lot of extent, in a lot of situations, these are players who are making more money than the head coach, not the other way around. And when that's the case, they're looking
that
for
might
guys
have been
to help
the
them get
case
better.
at Ohio State too. I'm not sure.
Yeah. They you know, they're looking for guys to help them make better. They're not looking for guys to take the, you know, if they piss on the rug, they don't want to have the coach that's rubbing their nose in it, screaming in their face. You know, they want them to help them clean it up. And that's the difference. And when Bill Belichick goes to, or when these Bill Belichick disciples have gone elsewhere and it hasn't worked, a lot of them have come back like, I don't get it. It worked for Bill. That's what made Bill so effective. But like Bill Belichick can hold up his hand. He's got 9 rings on it. Like how many Super Bowl? He won the 2 Super Bowls with the Giants, and then he's won 6? So he's got 8. 6. He's won 6 with New England. So I mean, the guy can hold up the rings. That's why it works in New England. It works in New England because he's got the rings he can throw down on the table, and they're like, all right, well, I won a Super Bowl, so I'm going to buy into this. I mean, that's why the majority of the people are there in New England. They're the type of player that likes that style of coaching, or they're the type of player that's towards the end of their career and they want to go there and they want to win a chip. But then also you have players that go there that for the chip and realize I can't handle this. It happened with Eric Decker. Eric Decker went to New England, was like, I think I'm going to retire. I can't deal with this. It's happened to countless players that go there like, you know what, I'm just going to bounce out. This just isn't for me. The ring's not worth it, right? You know, it's the old Bill Parcells type coaching. You know what I mean? Like it was, Rich was talking about this when Bill Parcells kicked Wayne Corbett, and it was a big story in New York like a long time ago when Bill Parcells was still the coach here. Like that was like the old school coaching, and that was the old school coaching in the NFL, and it's the coaching that still kind of goes on in a lot of extents in college ranks. But when you take a college coach who has never accomplished anything in the NFL and they try to pull that stunt in the big leagues, it's just not going to work. And it's not going to work for the reasons that you mentioned. These are millionaire athletes. These are professional athletes. These are grown men. These aren't kids anymore. They want to be helped. They don't want to have their nose rubbed in the dirt, and it's going to blow up in their face. But I will say this, and it is every time, and I'm actually a little upset that Urban Meyer ended up getting fired this early because I was hoping we'd have another 4 weeks, another month of this garbage.
Were you hoping that because the Jaguars then took like the whole NFL? We were talking about this on the Athletic Football Show that like the Texans and Jets are like, oh crap. Now, you know, like the whole Urban distraction and everyone can like be talking. The national media can talk about how bad Urban Meyer is. And now like the attention shifts to the other teams at the bottom of the.
No, because that's dysfunctional. Like, no, because there's a difference. There's a difference between bad and dysfunctional. The Jets in the past have been
okay. Well, the Texans can fall into that group.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you gotta,
and they're playing this week. That's just a fabulous game.
I don't know if I'm gonna get like hit for slander. If that like, all of a sudden I don't feel like having a lawsuit on my hands, so I'm not gonna go down the Deshaun Watson route. But no, I mean, there's a difference between dysfunctional and bad. Like the Jets right now, they're just a bad football team. Like they're a bad football team because they don't have a lot of talent. They're not crapping all over themselves. You know, they're not like doing these ridiculously absurd things. I mean, like the craziest thing that happened to the Jets this year was the fact that Mike White was good. Like that's like the wildest thing. Like Zach Wilson looks bad. That's not a dysfunctional environment. Zach Wilson just looks bad. Like the defense looks bad because the defense has no talent. That's not a dysfunctional situation. That's just they have no talent. This isn't like when they were going to go winless and there was the Adam Gase drama that was going on, or when Greg Williams is calling a cover 0 with no time left. That's not what's happening anymore. Like the Jets are just a bad football team and they're not winning games because they're a bad football team. But occasionally things go in their favor, and if teams sleep on them because they still play hard and because they still are well coached, they'll win games like they did against the Titans. They'll win games like they did against the Cincinnati Bengals. But what I want to say is the reason why I was kind of hoping Urban Meyer would last a little bit longer than what he did is because I was so sick and tired. And there's probably 3 or 4 rants on this show that you can pull up and go into the archives, dive into, that when the Jets were losing game after game after game last year, and they were looking like they were going all the way towards 0-16, and we're going to have the number 1 pick in Trevor Lawrence, there were people that had the cojones, the people that had the audacity to come out here and say that Trevor Lawrence should refuse to play for the Jets because he should go to play for the Jaguars. Not the 49ers, not the Colts, not the Patriots, not another team that year after year seems to find success, not the Steelers who could have a bad year and be picking that early, not any competent, well-run organization, but that Trevor Lawrence should refuse to play for the Jets to go play in Jacksonville Beach. Where are those people now? Where are you? I want to find you. I want to hear you. I want to see you, because this is the garbage. This is a team that has had 1 winning season over the last 11 years. They are a perennial disaster. They have to play in London so they don't go bankrupt. And even when they're in Jacksonville, their own fans don't give a shit about them because there's 3 other Florida teams that are better than them. It's Jacksonville. And this notion that instead of playing in the biggest media market in the world, in the greatest city that has ever existed, he should go to some cow town like Jacksonville to spend his career because that's a better organization and a more well-run machine than the Jets. Really? Really? And he goes there, and the coach that's going to help him reach this, and oh my God, they got Urban Meyer, and they got the money, and all the Jaguar fans that flooded my mentions on Twitter about how great of a situation they were in, and their draft picks, and now they're ready for this, and they've got DJ Chark, and they've got this guy, and they've got this guy. Oh my goodness, Jacksonville, such a perennial contender. Your coach made it 14 games? You got your franchise quarterback having press conferences about how they need to cut down on the drama. Like, this is like the most like ha-ha moment of my career, because anyone with 2 eyes could realize we were talking about the Jaguars, not the 49ers, not the Patriots, not any competent good team. We were talking about the Jaguars. The only good season they've had they've had 2 good seasons in my entire life. I vaguely remember David Garrard winning like 11 games when I was in middle school. And then when Tom Coughlin first showed up and lit a fire under everyone's ass, and they somehow managed to catch lightning in a bottle with Blake Bortles and almost make it to the Super Bowl somehow. That's the only time the Jaguars have ever been good in my lifetime. If you want to go back to when Tom Coughlin was the team's coach in their expansion years, okay, fine, we can go back there. But in recent memory,
Mark Brunell,
yeah, there we go. For a longtime Jet. It was like this guy, like you're talking about a team, literally, if I'm not mistaken, it's 10 out of 11 losing seasons. 10 out of 11. And that one random pull out of your ass winning season with Tom Coughlin running the show recently is the only reason they have a playoff drought less than the Jets. It's like, are you kidding me? And these, like, it was such a nationally orchestrated plot. Everyone who was a talking head on television was that avoid New York at all costs. There were stories, avoid New York at all costs. There was Twitter week in and week out. This is why Trevor Lawrence should refuse to play for the Jets. And it was the Jaguars were blown up. And I sat here and I know Marissa, like, this was like, I think before she came out and told us all that Michael Dunn was her boo thing, where she was like, hey, you know, Michael spent a summer in Jacksonville. Jacksonville Beach isn't that bad. No, Jacksonville sucks. I've been there. The one benefit of the Jaguars always blowing and the Jets always
shade to Jacksonville. We liked Jacksonville.
Duval.
We like Duval.
All right, it's a cow town college town that happens
making
to have
it very,
an
very
beach
clear that Connor is the only one. Connor is showing the shade, not me.
All right,
per
fine.
usual
Yeah,
on
whatever.
this podcast.
What I'm getting to is that, like, you have like this organization that has just been awful. And somehow with national media and talking heads in the Twitterverse, they were blown up at the Jets' expense as they were some better, and they were the perfect place they were the perfect opportunity to rear a young quarterback. Seriously. And instead, I literally sat there and I burst out laughing because I saw a headline. I don't remember where I saw it, but the headline was, the Jaguars better nail this next head coach, or they have the threat to derail Trevor Lawrence's career. Amazing. And I know, look, the Jets are 3-10. I get it. But the reason why Zach Wilson is struggling with the Jets is not because of the Jets. Zach Wilson is struggling with the Jets because Zach Wilson right now is playing like shit. Okay. Mike White came in and was AFC Offensive Player of the Week and AFC Passing Player of the Week and all that shit in his one start. Josh Johnson looked great. Joe Flacco had a hell of a game too. So you got 3 quarterbacks. None of them are any good, who went into this offense with these playmakers, with this supporting cast, with this coaching staff, who looked really good. And then Zach Wilson's now dealing with his issues because, look, if Zach Wilson's a bust, if Zach Wilson sucks, if Zach Wilson never pans out, he's not going to not pan out because he went to the Jets. He's going to not pan out because Zach Wilson was a mistake of a draft pick. If it pans out, I'm not saying he's a mistake of a draft pick before you guys all get on my ass. Like, that's just, it's the down the line thing. Like, if he just doesn't pan out, he'll pan out not because of the Jets, not because anything the Jets did, but because Zach Wilson was just a mistake of a draft pick. Trevor Lawrence is now being talked about blowing up and sucking in Jacksonville because they're going to ruin him. And I want to go back on Twitter. I should do it today, but I was so obsessed with going to see Spider-Man and I had to get that Quincy story written. But they, like, the tweets that were sent to me about Duval. Really? Like, look at you guys. You didn't even make it 14 games and your coach is fired. Like, are you serious? Trevor Lawrence hasn't thrown a touchdown pass since pretty much I was back in middle school. Like, what's going, like, are you kidding me? And I wish, like, I wish I could sit here and say, like, and here we go. NFL Draft Diamonds just retweeted Urban Meyer's tenure was wild beginning in January. Like, I can't wait to watch this video because this is what Trevor Lawrence was supposed to avoid, right? This was the drama that the Jets were supposed to be. No, the Jets made some mistakes. The Jets have had their issues, but the fact that they were somehow created and put into this image of the team that everyone should avoid at all costs to go to Jacksonville. That is a cow town, college town whose beach is not nearly as good as the Jersey Shore. And that's where Trevor Lawrence should take his wife and future kids to go live in Jacksonville. The only thing they got is better weather and golf courses because you can golf year round there. That's it. And that was somehow how this place was blown up, as like, go there instead of the Jets. And I'll be honest with you. I got all like worked up over this shit. I'm still worked up over this shit. I'm not even a Jets fan. I can't imagine what it was like to be a Jets fan on Twitter, seeing people say, oh, they should go to Jacksonville. Where if the Jaguars, they're a disaster. They've been a disaster forever. Their own fans don't want to go see them play. They have the worst attendance ever. They have to play in London so that they don't go bankrupt. And that's where Trevor Lawrence should go. Really? All right. I'm telling you, I was hoping Urban Meyer would last a little bit longer just to have these storylines keep going. Because every time I see it, like, I can't help myself. I can't help but tweet out just a little like, but it's a better place for the best place for a young quarterback. Ideal place for a young quarterback. He's got to go there. Yep. That's where he's want to be. Dude's going to be on like like that. Then they're going to botch the next coach too. Who's they're going to botch that. Like, they chose this guy. This organization, ownership, GM. They chose Urban Meyer. They knew all the shit that happened at Ohio State. They knew this guy was a college. They chose Urban Meyer. Now they're like, no, we're going to get it right next time. Okay, why? Because you picked him. At least the Jets had a phone call from Peyton Manning backing up their decision for Adam Gase. What'd you get with Urban Meyer? Who's calling you? Maurice Claret?
Tim Tebow?
And what are you getting out of this one? Oh, yeah, Yeah, that's the other thing. You brought him in. That's red flag number one. You brought in a guy who's playing. This guy couldn't make it with the Mets, and now he's going to be your tight end? Come on, dude. Oh, my God. But it's so, laugh your way. I wish like I would tell Jet fans, like, go like drink your tea in the face of Jaguar fans, but you can't find Jaguar fans because they don't exist. So you can't even rub it in their faces. Like, it's great. It's just freaking comical. I love it. Jason. Like, and all the people everywhere, man, they were on television. I was getting asked it on CBS and SNY. Like, should Trevor Lawrence review the Jets? No, it's the Jaguars. If it was the 49ers, seriously, like if the 49ers had the number 2 pick and the Jets had 1, I get it. You want to go play for the 49ers. That's a largely well-oiled machine, good organization, a lot of pieces around, had a bad year, all that stuff. I get going to the 49ers. Same thing with Patriots. Like I've said, if you're going to a perennial winner, but we were talking about the Jaguars, the only person that liked living there is Marissa. And honestly, it's because the only thing she has to compare it to right now is Cleveland. So it's like, yeah, I'll hand it to you, Marissa. Jacksonville Beach is better than Cleveland. I'll give you that one.
No,
you don't have to deal with snow
I
down there.
absolutely love Cleveland. It is such an underrated city. Absolutely love it. People are amazing. And the people in Jacksonville are great too. So for all the hate that Connor
I went there on
in,
Halloween and all I saw were 100 Gardner Minshews. I was done then. Then. That was when we were pulling. They didn't have the audacity to have original Halloween costumes. Every goddamn person there, man or woman, was Gardner Minshew. He's not even good. Like, at least pick someone fun, but then I realized there's no history. Well, I guess, oh my goodness, I'm not even going into this. Like, this, it's just.
You
ridiculous.
are forgetting one big thing about playing in Jacksonville versus playing in New York. The
temperature?
The taxes
are
a little different.
Yes, there is the
when
tax.
you were making
no
that
taxes.
much money.
Yeah, okay, fine. You get better taxes. You also get your freaking rear end plugged by a coach's foot.
Yeah, no,
so,
that's
I'm
totally
good.
unacceptable. And I think this decision was long overdue.
Yeah.
And but don't worry,
he
they'll get it
deserves
right
better,
next
and all
time.
those players deserve better. You know, we talked earlier about player health and safety, and that is not acceptable for a coach.
Oh, honestly, he probably should have been gone as soon as he stayed in Ohio and didn't travel back with the team.
Here we go, Tim.
Week 4? That should have been it.
Yeah.
I think
if a player did that, he would have been gone. So
2011, Tim. 5-11, 2-14, 4-12, 3-13, 5-11, 3-13, 10-6 out of nowhere. 5-11, 6-10, 1-15. Now what are they? 1-10? Oh yeah. Yeah, let's send the best passing prospect of this generation there. Yeah, he'll thrive. He'll be 30, flirty, and thriving soon. Yeah, good going. Yeah, who would have looked at that history and said, yeah, that's the perfect place for a young quarterback. Okay. Oh, it's bullshit.
All right.
We'll see what
Jason
they do
Mendoza is on his way to Connor.
He's the only good thing to come out of Jacksonville. Him and Michael Dunn. The only two good things to come out of Jacksonville. And TPC Sawgrass.
Yes. Okay. All right. So meanwhile, we talked all about all these other NFL teams. Back to the Jets, who are playing the Dolphins. Remember last time around November 21st, 24-17.
We got it. What? You should have held this up there. We got it on the podcast.
Yeah,
COVID-19. Yeah, you didn't put it in here though. I saw it in text. I'm reading your text. You didn't show it here though. I said we talked about COVID for like 12 seconds, and all of a sudden, boom, we're flagged with COVID.
It's also in the title. I think that probably hurt us, but. Anyway, Dolphins this week. Last time around, Connor, Joe Flacco got the start because Zach Wilson was working his way back from the injury, and the Jets didn't want him to face the complicated Dolphins defense. Well, he's got to face it this week, coming off such a bad performance. What can we expect here? Jalen Waddle, I will say, out for the Dolphins because of COVID, so that helps the Jets, I guess, a little bit on the defensive side. But Zach Wilson now has to face the defense that the team didn't really want him to face the first time around. And I will say he probably hasn't progressed much since then as a quarterback.
Yeah, and I think that's probably an issue. But look, I mean, he's got to take his lumps. I think my issue right now with Zach, and we've kind of talked about, is that I don't. It's hard to hang your hat on anything he does particularly well, right? Because the accuracy, which was a strength in college, is gone. The improvisational skills, which were a strength in college, are not happening right now at the NFL level. I mean, there's a lot that you're like, what's going on here? But Zach can turn it all around the same way that Sam turned around his final year, where it was a final 4-game stretch, which it ended up being a mirage for Zach, for Sam, I'm sorry, but it was arguably the best 4-game stretch of what's turned out to be his career. And that 4-game stretch sent the Jets into the offseason with a lot of optimism that maybe they have this quarterback right. And Sam didn't develop, but, maybe Zach will. So it starts here, and it's going to be, obviously, he's got his top 2 weapons, but, he still has some okay receivers there in Keelan Cole and Jamison Crowder and Braxton Berrios. It's just going to be about, I think, making quick decisions, because if he hitches at all, he's going to get in trouble. If he starts second guessing at all, he's going to get in trouble. So when you're playing a cover zero team like this, that's going to be coming with the pressure, going to be blitzing. It's all going to be about a lot of pre-snap identification, which the Jets praised him for this week. I mean, that's what Mike LaFleur said Zach has gotten much better at this week than anything else, is that he has been able to, his pre-snap identification, his pre-snap routine is significantly better. Well, it's going to be tested because he's going to have to identify who's coming, who's not coming, make protection alignments, work with Connor McGovern to figure out pre-snap what's going to happen and then attack it as a result. And look, the Jets were clearly worried about this the first time they played the Dolphins, which is why Zach wasn't in there. Now it's just a matter of has Zach learned enough from his past starts? Has Zach learned enough from watching Joe Flacco go against the same defense to be able to have some semblance of success? I would say in my mind, I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is going to be a very long game for the Jets, and I think that Zach Wilson's going to struggle quite a bit. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see that necessarily happening. Based off everything I've seen from the Jets to this point, I don't know how you can say like, oh, he's going to be able to handle cover zero. He's going to be fine against this defense. I mean, the Dolphins are rolling right now. But it's going to be worth watching. And I think that for Zach, the narrative turning probably has to start this week because, there's 4 games left. He's got this one, obviously. Then he's got the Jaguars. He's got the Bucks. He's got the Bills. 2 of those 3 are hard. The Jaguar game could honestly be a little bit harder now that Urban Meyer's gone. And if that's the case, if he wants to kind of send the Jets into the offseason with, I'll be honest with you, we've said this before. The only thing that you can say, like, I believe Zach Wilson is a franchise quarterback because blank. The only thing that you can fill in there on the blank right now is blind optimism that the Jets drafted him 2nd overall and you still believe in him. And, a rookie quarterback needs longer to develop. That's blind faith. There's been nothing on the field to make you say like, yeah, he's a franchise quarterback. Yeah, we've got the answer right. Yeah, he did this. Remember that game? Like, he hasn't even pieced together a whole complete game yet. Like, the Titan game was a couple good throws. Yes. The Eagle game was a hell of a first half. Like, we're not even talking about like he played a really good full game, a full 4 quarters of great football. That's what we're holding our hat onto. Like right now, Jet fans are holding their hat onto a first half against the Jets or a first half against the Eagles. That's all they're holding their hat onto. So that's not great. If you're going into the offseason with a couple throws against the Titans in the same game where he missed 3 throws that would have won the game outright, and a half against the Eagles. It's bad if that's the only thing you're taking your hat off and saying that's why he's a franchise quarterback. So it starts this week and it starts these final 4 games where he needs to start showing stuff. He needs to start completing the layups. He needs to start moving this team. He needs to start elevating the play of those around him. It's not about being a franchise quarterback right now. It's not about being Justin Herbert. It's just about showing potential and promise that you can be the guy. And right now, I don't think Zach's done that, but he's got an opportunity here against Miami. And honestly, that stadium there in Hard Rock, that's been like a house of horrors for the Jets over the last few years. I mean, I haven't won there since Geno's perfect quarterback rating in 2014 and Rex's final year. But even after that, I mean, it's been like weird shit always seems to happen in Miami. Like weird stuff. That's where Sam got hurt. That's where Antonio Allen had like the offsides on the kickoff. I mean, there's just weird stuff that happens when the Jets travel down there to Hard Rock, and we'll see if that continues.
All right, we mentioned that spread. Let's move on to our picks now, presented by BetMGM, our partners. We appreciate everything they do along with The Athletic. We're coming off a great week, guys. 7-2 overall last week. We all benefited from the Bucs win, although it got dicey going to overtime before they were able to escape with the win against Buffalo, luckily winning with a touchdown in overtime and not a field goal. Marissa, 3-0 last week. Connor and I both 2-1. So that stretches her lead, which is, I mean, at this point, it's
wonderful.
23-16, Marissa, making money. Connor is 18-21. I'm 17, 21-1. You've kind of taken the drama out of this year. Last year, it went into the playoffs and it went down to the Super Bowl, I think, before we decided it.
Do you want me to just sit 1 week out so you guys can catch up?
I feel like I would just get further away. I mean, I don't know.
True.
So you're on top, Marissa, so you go first.
Okay. So we've talked a lot about the COVID stuff, so I am going to try and avoid any COVID-related team this week, as I'm sure a lot of people are. So I am going to start with Cowboys minus 10.5 at the Giants. Well, I guess the Giants.
I was going to say, by the way, there's 5 double-digit spreads this week, and the Jets aren't one of them. The Jets are 9.5. So
yeah, the Jets aren't one of them yet.
Spreads.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry.
So yeah, 10.5 big spread, but I think the Cowboys offense is getting back to rolling. So I'm going to go Cowboys offense or Cowboys minus 10.5 at the Giants. This next one is probably more of a me AFC North hoping that the Steelers don't win in terms of in terms of the Browns playoff chances. So I'm going to go Titans minus 1 and Titans minus 1 versus the Steelers. Just that's probably betting with my heart versus anything else. So I don't know about that one, but Titans minus 1. And then the Packers, we don't know about Lamar Jackson. So Packers minus 6.5 versus the Ravens seems like a good spread to me. So Packers minus 6.5 is my final pick for week 15.
Connor.
What about you guys?
Yeah. So I'm going to start this one off with the LA Rams. I think they're probably starting to get going again. I like Stafford. He's playing good football. I think the offense.
The LA Rams that are missing 50% of their roster.
But somehow not because none of their, for the most part, Von Miller now is out, but most of their starters are actually
trash anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been bad anyway. Yeah, but as long as they still have Stafford, as long as they still have that offense, as long as they still have that, as long as they still have the offense, as long as they still have Stafford, as long as they still have that offensive line, as long as they still have a general defense, they should be able to beat the Seahawks. The Seahawks are not a very good team right now. Russell Wilson's not playing good football. Their defense is awful. I mean, it's just I'm riding the Rams. I'll be honest with you, I don't like a lot of these lines, but I'm gonna ride right now with the LA Rams -4 against Seattle. I like the fact that they are home as well. The other line that usually when you see a line like this that just doesn't make any sense, you stay away from it. However, I have been on the Bengals like endlessly this entire year, probably because I love Joe Burrow and I like Joe Mixon and I like Chase and I just like orange is my favorite color and I've always liked the Bengals uniforms like forever. So I'm going to go with the Bengals +2.5 of the Broncos because that line doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think the Broncos are a very good football team. I don't think Teddy Bridgewater is a very good starting quarterback. So I like the Bengals +2.5. I like that line a lot more though if it's like 3.5, where you're getting faded or you're getting help at least a little bit there by the field goal. And the other one is as an early wedding gift for Michael and Marissa. I'm going to bet the Raiders -3.5 because every single time that I bet a Browns game, it goes the other way. So like if I bet the Browns, the Raiders win. If I bet the Browns, the opponent wins. If I bet the opponent, the Browns win. It's actually been the curse of Marissa ever since I had the Chiefs I bet the Chiefs against the Browns. And then it
was the Cardinals. It was the Cardinals.
Cardinals. There you go. I bet the Cardinals against the Browns and I had it locked in and Marissa talked me out of it. So I cashed out my bet and bet it the other way. And ever since then, I have not picked the Browns game correctly. And I've bet the Browns a lot. So I'm going to go with the Raiders -3.5. Best case scenario is I win a game. Better case scenario, I win money. Best case scenario is that the Browns somehow win this game and then they keep winning and the Michael Dunn show rolls on.
Yes, that's the best case scenario, obviously.
Yeah, that's what I said. Best case. Yeah, because it's all leading to the best of all best case scenarios, which is that the Browns win the Super Bowl. Yes. And then you have to have your wedding on the parade float. Like that's the ultimate goal here is that Marissa has to reschedule.
Socially distance, of course.
Yeah. I don't think there's going to be any. If the Cleveland Browns win the Super Bowl, there is going to be no social distancing.
Very true.
Yeah. Omnicorn, whatever the next variant is going to be. I mean, there's going to be that.
I can't wait to tell my mom. That's why I've been calling it that because I've been listening to you.
Her response is going to be, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going head to head against Marissa here with the Pittsburgh game. I'll take the Steelers +1 at home. Patriots coming off a bye week. Dogs on the road at Indy. I'm going to take the Patriots just because Belichick with 2 weeks to prepare. Always tough. And then this is probably against my better judgment, but I'm going to take the Jaguars -4.5 hosting Houston because I just feel like there's a cleanse going on in Jacksonville right now. And there's going to be just a good feeling with Urban out the door. And that team's going to come out flying. And they're playing Houston, who's a dumpster fire in its own self. So I'll take Jacksonville -4.5. That'll do it. I will continue to finish last in this anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Anything else from either of you?
No, I'm good.
Wash your hands.
Yeah, wash your hands. Stay safe out there, everybody. We will be back with you with a full recap of the Dolphins game early next week. Thanks for tuning in to the Can't Wait podcast.